Well, he slicks his legs. No, I couldn't do that. But
Are you Jake or Elwood? No. We'll sort that out later.
Yeah.
see, he never really saw it, you know.
Oh, you never really saw it.
I did. No, I took Kate, my wife, to Chicago just to do the sights of the blues.
Oh, yes.
She was going, why are we outside? What was the centre?
I did a big detour to go to Lower Wacker Highway.
Yeah, that's right. And it would be sculpture.
No, we're just looking at you. We want you to really...
Kate, help me. Thank you. The Picasso.
Absolutely. See, we just sit up here, we just talk right no nonsense, don't we? Oh, look, right, okay, there's guards, okay? And to me, as I said, it's the jewel in the Diswell Crown as a sub-series with the whole series.
Well, mostly because you've got your cops.
Yeah.
And the cops are in the centre of everything, more or less.
Yeah.
This is why I spent quite a lot of time with cops. And, you know, again, you just pick that up.
I thought it was a brave move, though, taking them out of Ankh-Morpork. I thought that was, you know, that's...
Out of Ankh-Morpork?
Yeah, you're taking, you know, there's Sam Vimes, you're taking him on.
Oh, no! Putting him outside Ankh-Morpork, now he's away from his safety zone, or whatever it's called. Comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, he thinks the trees are very stiff. Weed.
Totally true. I know that you said that when you first took him out of Ankh-Morpork that you had to sort of temper yourself about how quickly a dead body was going to fall out of something, because it had to, the moment a copper was away from his beat.
Oh, exactly, yes.
It was going to happen. Yeah, okay. So there's the Guard series. What would happen then if this wily chappie came along and said, I know what I'll do, I'm going to take the Guard series, but I would like to put those fully formed characters that you've spent so many years fully forming in such a well-crafted way and put them into new storylines. What would you say to that?
I was like, never happened, mate. Never happened.
You actually said two words. One started with F and the other one was no.
Which is entirely true. Yeah. So, okay, right. There's the Guard series. We're going on. Let's talk about narrative here and the watch. Rod, I mean, here we are, you know, in front of this wonderful audience. What is it that you can tell us about the progress of the City Watch series?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
No, I can tell you. Guy was going to be here today, but he's actually writing scripts. And Guy Burt, who anybody who was at the convention last year in Birmingham met, and Guy is now quite advanced in a number of drafts of the pilot episode and a number of the other episodes. I can tell you that.
What, so it's happening then? Just because obviously as an audience here, we have heard bugger all about its progress.
Yeah,
why is it that we've heard bugger all?
We took a conscious decision at the beginning. There's 20,000 production firms out there and about 50,000 producers. Most of them you'll find in Soho House in London, yes? All with cards that say producer and producing nothing. And so until the day that we sit on set filming, there is nothing to say. And that day, I can tell you, is on that day, Rob, Terry and I are going to be in full goblin, I'm giving you something away there, goblin prosthetics in 3 chairs with 3 glasses raising, and then we'll start tweeting.
I'm with you with the glasses, not so much the goblin.
Oh, okay. Anyway, and then we'll start tweeting, and then we'll say what we're doing.
Okay. I feel a lot of comfort from that. I'm sure the ladies and gentlemen feel a lot of comfort
You've
from
heard
that.
the script.
I have got the script down here, yeah. Okay, I have read the script, and everything that I've read is bloody good. And it's still, obviously, in Terry's world.
Yep.
Okay, so, in other words, those horrible...
Can I ask you a question, a real question, and a real answer?
One we haven't got to...
It has to start in that Ankh-Morpork moment.
Yes, it is.
The one we talked about.
Exactly where it starts. Well, I can give you a world exclusive. Is the first scene is likely to be in Tanton.
Okay. sounds invented, and we actually set it up across the office floor to work out how a message could go from one tower to another, and then one coming back. And what actually happens to the messages when they collide in the middle?
Yeah. and then Ricky built one in Hungary.
And then Ricky built it, the set designer. The first thing I was going to say when the VT stopped loading was, well, you didn't cock them up then.
No, but we've got quite a lot in. What people don't know is that we can say today is we're also developing good owners.
And with that other bloke, what's his name?
Yes.
What's him? Andy,
Yeah. The one we're jumping on the phone on Tuesday, aren't we? Which is very nice. And the other thing is,
and one of the things that Neil and I have said, that at some point when it's actually being done, there should be a little piece where you can see a restaurant, a sushi restaurant, and Neil and myself lunching.
right?
Thank you very much.
And you, not dressed as a goblin. No. And the other thing that we can say exclusively on this stage is that we're doing something. No, I shouldn't say that. That we are developing Dodger.
Dodger, dear God Almighty, there's amazing news as well. I say, tell us more about it.
I think he could maybe go on a journey or something like that, possibly to the Americas.
I wrote a little note down. Mr. Boggius actually said this as we were talking about this in the dressing room beforehand. He said, "What? In that case, no sewer is safe."
Oh, I like that.
As a tagline.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And there's one other.
That's the really problem for me. Dodger can go a long way, because I've done all the research of the period that he's in and just a bit around it. But as they say, so many things to write, so little time.
Pratchett. It is hard to understand nothing, but the multiverse is full of it. Nothing travels everywhere, always ahead of something, and in the great cloud of unknowing, nothing yearns to become something, to break out, to move, to feel, to change, to dance and to experience. In short, to be something. And now it found its chance, as it drifted in the ether. Nothing, of course, knew about something, but this something was different. Oh yes. And so nothing slid silently into something and floated down with everything in mind, and fortunately landed on the back of a turtle, a very large one, and hurried to become something even faster. It was elemental, and nothing was better than that, and suddenly the elemental was captured. The bait had worked. Anyone who has ever seen the River Ank sliding along its bed of miscellaneous nastiness would understand why so much of the piscine food for the people of Ankh-Morpork has to be supplied by the fishing fleets of Quirm. In order to prevent terrible gastric trouble for the citizenry, Ankh-Morpork fishmongers have to ensure that their suppliers make their catches a long, long way from the city. For Bowden Jeffreys, purveyor of the very best in seafood, the 200 miles or more which lay between the fish docks at Quirm and the customers in Ankh-Morpork was a regrettably long distance throughout the winter, autumn and spring, and a sheer penance in the summertime, because the highway, such as it was, became a linear furnace all the way to the big city. Once you had to deal with a ton of overheated octopus, you will never forget it. The smell lasted for days and followed you around and almost into your bedroom. You could never get it out of your clothes. People were so demanding, but the elite of Ankh-Morpork, and indeed everyone else, wanted their fish, even in the hottest part of the season. Even with an icehouse built by his own two hands, and by arrangement a second icehouse halfway along the journey, it made you want to cry. It really did. And he said as much to his cousin, Relief Jeffreys, a market gardener, who looked at his beer and said, "It's always the same. Nobody wants to help the small entrepreneur. Can you imagine how quickly strawberries turn into little balls of mush in the heat? Well, I'll tell you, no time at all. Blink and you miss them. Just when, of course, everybody wants their strawberries. And just you ask the watercress people how difficult it is to get the damn stuff to the city before it's as limp as a second day's sermon.
We should petition the government, we should. No, said his cousin. I've had enough of this. Let's write to the newspapers. That's the way to get things done. Everyone's complaining about the fruit and vegetables and the seafood. Veterinary should be made to understand the plight of the small-time entrepreneur. After all, what do we occasionally pay our taxes for? Dick Simnel was 10 years old when, back at the family smithy in Sheepbridge, his father simply disappeared in a cloud of furnace parts and flying metal, all enveloped in a pink steam. He was never found in the terrible haze of scorching dampness. But on that very day, young Dick Simnel vowed to whatever was left of his father in that boiling steam that he would make steam his servant. His mother had other ideas. She was a midwife, and as she said to her neighbours, "Babbies are being born everywhere. I'll never be without a customer." So against her son's wishes, Elsie Simnel